Hello, welcome to Iron Dinos. I'm Shaun. I'm just doing a little video to commemorate today the release of Godzilla vs. Kong on HBO Max. I'm a Brit. Thank you very much, Surfshark, for this and Zack Snyder's Justice League. I fucking love Godzilla. I must have been a Godzilla fan since I was a kid, because to my eternal shame, I remember Godzuki probably better than as a kid I remember any of the other monsters in the series. Like, I knew of Mothra, Godzilla himself, and that was... Oh yeah, and I knew there was various kinds of robot Godzillas. So I've seen all the American ones to date, and I've been undertaking watching every single Godzilla movie of all time in Japanese, and I'm currently in the midst of watching Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. So I've done the first 20. That's not bad. I love most of them. My least favourite monster is Manila, because I fucking hate Manila. It's essentially a Play-Doh blob that looks vaguely in the shape of a human with a slightly Godzilla-y face. I hate it. My favourites are, of course, Godzilla, King Ghidorah, who's the absolute monster. He's the best. You know, I love Rodan, I love Mothra, I love Anguirus. So many more. I even like Kumonga. Giant Spider is cool. So yeah, I just thought I'd do a little quicker bash at this this old SNES game here, just to show off a few things and talk about the Godzilla movies that I've seen and my thoughts and opinion of them. So first one I sat down, properly watched, was 1998's Godzilla with Matthew Broderick. Moving swiftly on, I'd seen Godzilla. That was released on DVD or video around the time. I guess it would be video. So I saw that. The first Godzilla 1954 is a wonderful film. It's obviously is a parallel for the proliferation of nuclear weapons. And of course the scars that left on Japan, so that's just a wonderful movie. Godzilla is a almost mythical being, this huge unstoppable thing that just destroys and destroys and destroys, and they have to create something new and arguably more monstrous and more evil than the thing they're trying to destroy. That's wonderful. Godzilla Raids again is great. It introduces us to Anguirus. It's kind of more of the same, but it was the first time we get monster versus monster. I very much enjoyed that. I like the way that the fight was filmed, especially for something so early in the Godzilla canon. I know that big monster movies were a bigger thing in Japan. It didn't start with Godzilla, I'm perfectly aware of that. You know, Rodan started on his own, or its own. Mothra started on her own, in her own movie. So, yeah, but it was really nice to see that they kept up the tension for a second time around without feeling like they were making the exact same film. Then we move on to King Kong vs. Godzilla, which I didn't like at all. I don't think the costumes are good. I don't think the fight scenes are good. I've got to admit, thinking back on it, there's very little I actually... the thing I most remember enjoying is this massive, it's towards the end, there's this massive multi-storied very Japanese looking building with lots of terraces and stuff between the two, and they just kind of mash through it to get at each other before fighting and ultimately falling off a cliff and ending in whatever you want to call it, a no contest or whatever. But yeah, I wasn't a great fan of that. Mothra vs. Godzilla. So Mothra vs. Godzilla is where a lot of crazy out of nowhere shit comes in. So I hadn't seen Mothra. I was vaguely, I knew of her, but I'm sitting watching this movie for the first time, and these tiny women appear who speak in unison and fly and all this other crazy stuff. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? I'm very confused, and it just gets increasingly batshit insane. Mothra comes down to defeat Godzilla, and like, I'd got it in my head. I don't know from where, like, I've looked online, like, it doesn't appear to be this massive thing, But I kind of always thought that Mothra and Godzilla were kind of not a couple per se, but I didn't think I thought they fought alongside each other rather than fought against each other. So when Godzilla basically kills Mothra and the new one hatches and comes out as a pupa and kind of inches around and kind of sprays all its silk on Godzilla, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Where's the big Mothra? But that was super cool. That was super fun. I like that. That's where the crazy starts really kicking in. Then we get the absolute beast. Like, I was vaguely aware there was a 3-headed dragon. I remember it being super cool, and then this one starts, and it's just like fucking Rodan rocks up, and fucking then there's dudes from space, and then King Ghidorah comes down, and it's just the goddamn coolest thing ever. Like all 3-headed and lightning going everywhere, and everything's exploding, and this is around the point that Godzilla fully turns on to be the hero rather than the monster. King Ghidorah obviously becomes Godzilla's greatest nemesis, or arguably Godzilla's greatest nemesis. So they follow that up with King Ghidorah again. Like, these dudes from space are just like, hey, so King Ghidorah's kind of being a dick. Can we borrow 2 of your giant monsters to fend him off? It's like, how is that going to help? You've now got 3 giant monsters who are going to wreck your shit instead of just the one. But they send it over, and of course, it's bollocks. It's an invasion attempt. This becomes way more prevalent in the series from this point. All the monsters wind up battling Ghidorah again, who pisses off into outer space. He has enough, pieces out to fight another day, because King Ghidorah is the best. We then get Emperor Horror of the Deep, which I think I like more than most. Like, there was a lot of nonsense in this one. There was a lot of plot not around the giant shrimp monster and not around Godzilla. There's like this... So there's this group called Red Bamboo, and they're, I don't know, something take over the world. Whatever, it doesn't matter. They basically have a giant squid monster, or lobster monster, which Godzilla fights, and it's kind of awesome. The people from Infant Island are in there, so Mothra kind of gets involved. It's quite fun. Son of Godzilla, to me, is where the franchise takes a downturn. I don't like Manila, but there were parts in this that did make me laugh. I did enjoy. There's bits where Manila's kind of playing, and Godzilla's like taking a nap, and slightly this really grumpy dad kind of like, I'm fucking sick of your shit, Junior. Just kind of wants to slap him with his tail. So it's still got an amount of charm. Then there's Destroy All Monsters. So Destroy All Monsters is one of my favourites. I mean, it's probably got the most monsters in it. So these aliens kind of come, and they have like a signal, and they control all of the world's monsters to go lay waste to stuff and just start destroy. I start destroying everything. It's the humans who actually rescue themselves for once by destroying the outpost, which is controlling all the monsters. So they just call in King Ghidorah, and in perhaps King Ghidorah's greatest showing, he takes on like 6 or 7 of the monsters single-handedly, just generally being ridiculously awesome. Eventually, they all kind of overpower him, but I thought the fight's pretty brutal. I thought he killed Anguirus at some point. After a massive battle, they actually appear to kill King Ghidorah. Don't worry, he shows up again. This is also like all King Ghidorah out of nowhere, and it's like, oh shit, this is fucking awesome. But then they're like, oh yeah, but we've also got this fire dragon thing. oh, don't mess with that. Oh, this is our ultimate plan, the fire dragon. It's just a spaceship. It's really easily destroyed. Yeah, that one was super fun. Next we get All Monsters Attack, my least favourite, with the possible exception of the American one, the first American one. All Monsters Attack is bad for many, many reasons. So it's very Manila heavy. It's almost an interesting conceit. You've got a little bullied kid, and his bully is called Gabra. And on the island you've got Manila, and Manila is being bullied by a monster called Gabra. And there's like this side, well, not side plot. The main plot involves this pair of robbers who've stolen some stuff, and the kid needs to overcome them and help the police capture them. There's very little Godzilla. There's very little monsters. The monsters don't. Well, the monsters not only don't come off the island, but it's implied that the monsters are figment of the kids' imaginations, almost like a retooling of the mythos that actually monsters aren't real. They're all in kids' imaginations. This was this was obviously an attempt to appeal to a younger market, but it was bad. It was very, very bad. The ship was righted somewhat with Godzilla vs. Hedorah. This is the start of the Versus era. So I'm watching these movies to watch Godzilla wreck shit, or at least watch another monster wreck shit, and then Godzilla rock up and wreck it. So I kind of like the Versus titles. So this wasn't a reboot, but this was almost like a course change. After All Monsters Attack, this very much goes back to the monster versus monster being the focus. One monster being a big danger and the other one being Godzilla, who is at this point humanity's protector. Hedorah is a pollution monster. It's a cool idea, and some of Hedorah's forms look quite cool, but I don't think it's one of the best, but I think this one's a lot of fun. Next we get Godzilla? Who the fuck's Godzilla? Next we get Godzilla vs. Gigan. Really like this one. This one was so much fun. So basically, right, this one starts with dude being like, okay, I'm making this wonderful theme park for science and peace amongst everyone. There's going to be a giant Godzilla statue to commemorate monsters. Then I'm going to blow up Monster Island! And actually, he's like a space cockroach. And like, it's... the main bad guy is like a kid, and when he's first introduced, there's like this big silver globe, and he turns around and it's his fucking desk. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. So yeah, he brings down. Basically says their plan is to take over the world because their world was destroyed. It's a regular theme. It's called Godzilla vs. Gigan. Calls down Gigan. King fucking Ghidorah rocks up as well, just to be fucking awesome. That was super fun, and it's of the era where Anguirus is Godzilla's tails, or some say pet, but I like to think of it as like most loyal friend. That's followed up with Godzilla vs. Megalon, featuring perhaps my second least favourite creature, Jet Jaguar. Jet Jaguar sucks. Okay, look, I'm sure there are Jet Jaguar fans out there, but you need to sit yourself down and look at almost any other giant robot. See the next movie. Jet Jaguar just kind of sucks. But I also don't particularly like Megalon. Gigan and Megalon are from the school of just wacky giant monsters, like almost what I'd call the Super Sentai Power Rangers kind of school. They don't. Most of the things in Godzilla's universe have a cohesion to them. You know, they look like a specific thing, whereas Megalon just has a circular saw running through him. Like, how would that evolve? And then it's got these big. It doesn't have hands. It's got these great big kind of circular hook things. That looks cool. But Megalon, which was supposedly born of the Earth, it just looks like a random assortment of parts put together to form a thing. I don't think less so than Gigan. I think Megalon looks really inconsistent, and it kind of takes me out of it a little bit. And considering most of the movie focuses on fucking Jet Jaguar, this completely sucks. This wasn't one of my favourites. However, I love the crazy wacky sci-fi fucking nonsense. I love it. Love it. And the bad guys in this are fucking Atlanteans, basically. Like, they were on the surface of the Earth and their continent sank, and now it resides somewhere deep inside the Earth. And they want revenge on the humans because we cast them down there. Now that brings us round to get one of my top 5. Fucking Mechagodzilla! Mechagodzilla is the coolest thing ever, and as far as I've seen, no better showing than in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Now, there is a point in this movie where Mechagodzilla is firing fucking lasers out of its eyes, lasers out of its mouth, rockets from its shoulders, it squares up its fucking hands, it launches rockets out of its hands, and most importantly, it fires rockets from its toes. It is ridiculous. I love it. King Caesar is also in this movie. Oh my god. There are 4 monsters I've experienced so far in this franchise that I think are shit and can get in the bin. Manila, I dislike both conceptually. I'm not a fan of baby version of big character. It's just not for me. But also, it looks like a crudely crafted sculpture of a man, right? So Manila sucks. But Manila has on occasion made me smile and laugh. Jet Jaguar is fucking terrible. This one introduces King Caesar, right? Now King Caesar gets the biggest build-up, right? Like, so Mechagodzilla is a thing, and it's rocket up, and they're like, oh my god, 2 monsters like, this one thing is so powerful that 2 monsters must come together and defeat it. Cough, cough. Anguirus is also in this. Cough, cough. No, 2 monsters must come in and defeat it. And like King Caesar, after all this builds up, rocks up, and it looks like a half-rotted lion suit. It is the shittest thing ever. And then like, they spend so much time building up, like, oh, King Caesar is this ancient protector in the thing, and he just gets his ass kicked. He is just the fucking lamest. So that was super fun. Like, at least Jet Jaguar, for all the nonsense of like, oh, it's sentient a bit, now it's not. At least it doesn't have like an entire movie of build-up, and it just gets its ass kicked relentlessly. And it just goes to show, like, by the next movie, it just goes to show that King Caesar was, if anything, detrimental to Godzilla's fighting Mechagodzilla, because it returns in the next movie, Terror of Mechagodzilla, in which Godzilla fights that and fucking Titanosaurus, number 4 on my list of shit, and Mechagodzilla 2, which is like the previous Mechagodzilla, but with a few improvements. Now, what I must say about these 2 movies is, once again, aliens from space. The 2 Mechagodzilla movies introduce the Black Hole Planet 3 aliens, right? They say they're from the 3rd planet closest to a black hole or some bollocks. But they're led by 2 aliens, right, who are played by the same actors, and they're identical. Kuronuma and Mughal, right? And dear God, this guy's having the most fun. He is clearly having the most fun. He is chewing the scenery. He is camping it up. I found this dude as memorable as Mechagodzilla itself, like, more so than Titanosaurus, which is in the second one. Like, I absolutely love this guy and the energy he brought to it, and really wanted to see him return. The franchise then went on hold for basically a decade, until the return of Godzilla in 1984, which was, I think, this big, not a reboot exactly. So the first movie happened, and this was the new version of the second appearance of Godzilla. So this is Godzilla is the big bad again. And yeah, what I didn't mention about the other one, in the other series, like, certainly by all monsters attack, all sense of weight and importance to the Godzilla character had kind of slowly kind of filtered out as it became more of a, like, people still kind of thought it could be a threat, but for the most part it was just like, Godzilla, save us, there's a big monster. And like, there was no gravitas to the monsters anymore. There was no real sense of danger anymore, because basically you knew a bad monster was going to come and sure, it'd destroy part of a city because that's what we're here for, but it'd go on a bit of a rampage, but then Godzilla would come and there'd be a great big fight, and you know, a great big arena fight where, you know, get a big field or something, make it look a bit like an arena, monsters fight, blah blah blah, all good stuff, all really fun stuff. This wanted to bring back the majesty of Godzilla, the threat, the size, the scale, the weight of Godzilla. So I love this movie. I think this movie does such a good job of just restoring Godzilla back to this omnipresent, almost existential dread of this massive, horrible thing that there's no control over, that's just going to do what it's going to do, and the best the humans can do is fight back as best they can, and everything is basically futile against it. There's several wonderful scenes, very striking scenes in this, like when it's first striding through Tokyo. It was very, very reminiscent to me of Ghostbusters, which Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, which was released at the same time. Like, the framing is very similar and everything like that. I wonder if they didn't. I wonder if, like, Ghostbusters released, I believe, months after this in Japan, so it seems unlikely that they'd taken some inspiration from it, but it's very, very similar, very, very strikingly similar. And there is actually a Ghostbusters poster noticeable during Godzilla's rampage. There's a wonderful fight between that and the Super X, this kind of lame flying rounded ship they make, and it tries to fight Godzilla, and in a wonderful moment, like, Godzilla's destroyed this huge, like, fire everywhere. It's destroyed this huge skyscraper, and the atomic breaths Super X to the last. The atomic breath Super X for the final time, and Super X goes down, and Godzilla knows he's won, and he walks over to this skyscraper that's billowing fire and smoke, and he pushes it over, and it falls, crushing Super X. And, like, the next shot is just panning into Godzilla with the building flat in front of him, had him just killed all of these people, bathed in smoke and fire and this red glow, and he just stares at the camera and slowly roars. I mean, it's incredibly awesome. It is awesome in the meaning of the word. Like, I'm sitting there watching it filled with awe. It was absolutely fantastic. So this was a great way of writing the ship. I'm not against Godzilla turning into more of a heroic character. I mean, I like almost everything in the Showa area. I love almost everything in the Heisei area. How you pronounce that? But bringing Godzilla back to his roots, bringing him back to being this giant, omnipresent threat was really a great move, and a great way to reintroduce him to a more modern audience. Then you get Biolante, which is crazy. This series is trying to be a far more grounded, realistic series. And it starts with two scientists, a father and daughter. The daughter dies, but they've got cells from Godzilla, and she's been introducing them to plant life to try and create plants that will grow in the desert. And when she dies, her consciousness is drawn into these plants, and the father apparently is insane, but believes his daughter in these flowers, takes them back to Japan and gets more of Godzilla's cells and introduces them and makes a giant plant monster. And this also introduces the fantastic character of Miki Saigusa, a young psychic girl who occasionally has the power to communicate and even hold off Godzilla momentarily. She's great, but like Biolante just calls to Godzilla, and because they're both based on Godzilla's cells, they each despise the other one for existing, because they are technically the same entity, and the same entity can't exist twice. So that kind of fuels their crazy primal rage for each other. But like Biolante is this great big rose monster thing with all these tendrils when you first see it. It's all super cool, and Godzilla wins that fight, and Biollante has to escape, and it goes up into space, and then Godzilla starts his rampage, as is typical of a Godzilla movie of this era. He's the big threat, so he then goes off to find another nuclear reactor to consume. And Biollante, as he comes back, is like this crazy play on the fucking thing from Little Shop of Horrors. It's like this huge, monstrous, like crocodile mouth plant abomination, and it's technically the hero, and that fight is absolutely awesome. It's really, really fun. From there, Biollante didn't do as well as Return of Godzilla, so decided to reintroduce some of the older monsters. So you then get versus King Ghidorah. They bring him back, and there's like this crazy time travel plot where like these dudes come from the future, like, yeah, so Godzilla destroys Japan at some point, so we want to go back. Like, by the way, Godzilla was like this dinosaur that just happens to be on this island in World War II, right? That's cool. So if we go move that, right, when the nukes go off on that island, that won't turn into Godzilla, and then Godzilla won't be a problem. But they take these three little things from the future that they've created, and they put them on the island instead of Godzilla, which creates King Ghidorah. So there's no Godzilla, but there is a King Ghidorah. And basically their whole plot was that Godzilla and King Ghidorah did exist, and they did fight, but they realized that they can manipulate time to something rule Earth, right? So they can control this version of Ghidorah. But the heroes eventually realize that, well, the Godzilla dinosaur is still there, and I guess it's basically like a cup of soup. All you need to do is add nuclear to corpse, and Godzilla you have. So they just like nuke this fucking corpse of this dinosaur in the middle of the ocean. It's like, yep, Godzilla's back. So then they fight. I found this a bit disappointing, to be honest. Like previously, King Ghidorah has like been the big bad and this awesome thing, and has like fought off like 5 or 6 monsters. With the actual Godzilla King Ghidorah fight is relatively short. But then we go back to the start of the movie, and right at the start of the movie they find King Ghidorah's corpse, and that was one of the people who came back from the future who changed their mind about working with the other people who came back to the future in order to use King Ghidorah to conquer the future. So they get King Ghidorah's corpse, turn it into Mecha King Ghidorah, and then come back to fight Godzilla, who, once having defeated King Ghidorah, has turned bad and is destroying another city. Crazy. That's super fun. Then there's Godzilla vs. Mothra, which brings in Batra, Mothra's opposite. It's like a more insectoid-looking version of Mothra, because way back in the day, human scientists created a weather-controlling machine, and that super pissed off like Earth itself, and Mothra was kind of protecting the humans, so the Earth created Mothra as Batra as Mothra's Black Mirror, and their destiny is to fight each other. But Godzilla rocks up, so they commune and they team up to destroy Godzilla. Batra dies in the process, and then just out of nowhere, Mothra's just like, oh, by the way, like, Batra was supposed to, like, destroy this thing in space that's gonna destroy the Earth, so I'm gonna fuck off and do that. It's like, what? What is happening? This is awesome and also crazy. So then you get Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. We're almost up to the point I've seen 2 now. I promise this won't go much. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Oh my god, it's so much fun. So, like, Rodan, I don't go into these looking up what happens beforehand. So, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. It all starts with Mechagodzilla. I'm sitting there going, I can't wait to see these things fight. Then they bring in fucking Rodan, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Then they also bring in a baby Godzilla. Not so cool with that, but it was really inoffensive. But, like, yeah, Rodan. And then Rodan becomes Fire Rodan, which is like regular Rodan, but on fire. And it's super awesome. Yeah, and that was really, really fun. I'm halfway through Space Godzilla as I record this, so obviously going to watch the rest of them this year. But on to the American films. The 1998 one can fuck off, and so can Matthew Broderick, because just everything about them is terrible. I really like the 2014 one. I understand why a lot of people don't, because the threat it sets up is the Muto, which is a new monster anyway, when you think it's Godzilla in the early part, and then a lot of it is when Godzilla's in it earlier on. It's kind of in the background and obscured, but I feel this does a lot to... I like this because I feel it does a lot to establish the scale and the threat of Godzilla. So then, by the end, when you finally see Godzilla fighting the Mutos in the city, and that's all you get for about 15-20 minutes, it has built it up to the point that you are desperate to see it. And then it gives you exactly what you want, and you get to see all this awesome stuff, and you get to see the great big fight. And I mean, for God's sakes, Godzilla, unlike in the 1998 one where it's afraid to be Godzilla, this is full of, like, you know, the spines start to glow, and you're like, oh, here comes the fucking atomic breath right into the Muto, which makes it explode. It's all really, really cool. Then, like, the trailer to Godzilla King of the Monsters got me so excited. But it has the problem of the Michael Bay Transformers things, which is it is interested in showing you anything other than the monsters fighting, and that's what I'm there for. Like, almost everything really cool in that movie is in the trailer, because the rest of the time you're like, oh, here comes, like, that's fucking King Ghidorah. Jesus fucking Christ. And Godzilla's on his way. What's gonna happen? Why am I looking at this human? Why is this human running? I don't care about this human. Why am I watching it? No, go back to the big monsters. Look, yeah, great. I can see Godzilla and King Ghidorah's feet. I want to see the giant monsters fighting. So, like, I didn't hate Godzilla King of the Monsters, but I was so disappointed the amount of times that the monsters are fighting and we're not watching the goddamn monsters. That's what I'm here for. This is called Godzilla King of the Monsters. It's not called Human King of the Humans. I don't care about humans, not in a Godzilla movie. I want to see the giant monster. Which brings us round to Godzilla vs. Kong. Once again, this is the third movie in this American version of the series, and it's the third new director. I'm not sure if that's a good sign or a bad one, but I mean, have you seen the trailer? What's not to get excited about? Like, I pray they don't do the same thing of just showing the humans when the monsters are fighting. I'm sure they've learned that lesson. But fucking, I'm pretty sure mechagodzilla is in that goddamn trailer. I think it's hidden in there. And for fuck's sakes, if this has Godzilla, King Kong, and Mechagodzilla, this is going to be one of the craziest monster movies America has ever made. It's going to be batshit insane. If they just give it the time to allow the monsters to fight, and this is gonna be all. If King Kong and Godzilla have to team up to fight Mechagodzilla, there's no way I'm not having an amazing time. I am so here for this. I'm so into it. I will be watching it possibly when this video goes live. Godzilla vs. King Kong 2021. Awesome.